Hi there, I'm Randy Rowett, and welcome to another edition of Randy's Wellness TV here on Toronto TV. It's nice to have you with us here tonight. Tonight, a very special show from the studios of Toronto TV. We're talking to the Seed of Life organization. My guests today are Lanre Tunji-Ajayi. How are you?
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Thank
and
you.
Also a nice guest, Gory Dean. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Not bad, thank you. Nice to have you both here. And we're here to talk about a very, very special cause, and certainly something we want to get into the public knowledge. And that is the issue of sickle cell disease.
Yes.
Now, you have the organization called the Seed of Life organization. Tell us more about that.
Well, what her organization does is to help create awareness for the disease sickle cell anemia. This we do by giving out educational pamphlets, going to the churches, the mosque, community events all over, and just talking about how we could prevent the incidence of this disorder.
Now, a lot of our viewers may not understand what exactly is sickle cell disease. Could you please explain that?
Yes, sickle cell disease is a blood disorder, and this affects the red blood cells. So this disease actually makes the red blood cells to be very hard and sickled. And when it's sickled, just over here,
Okay.
the normal
Let's hold that up for the
Sure.
viewers. You can see we have a normal cell here,
the
normal red
normal
blood cell.
cells are round and donut shaped like,
Right.
whereby the sickled red blood cells are actually like sickle, just like the word sickle, and because it's sickled, it makes it hard for the red blood cells to pass through the narrow blood vessels, and this causes excruciating pain. And
Yeah.
these are the things that this is what we are talking about. People need to know that this disease is very debilitating. There's no cure to sickle cell disease. And also, there are different kinds of sickle cell disease. Many people do not know that. There is the sickle cell anemia, which affects predominantly the people from the African and Caribbean cultures.
Now, that seems to be one that people hear more about.
More about.
Yes.
But then there are other types, like the sickle beta thalassemia, and the sickle beta zero thalassemia, and the sickle hemoglobin C. So those other three are very common also, but like you said, many people know more about the sickle cell anemia. So people from the Mediterranean, the
Yes.
Arabian, India, Latin America, South America, Asia, they actually suffer from the other three kinds of sickle cell disease.
Okay. And briefly before we move on, what causes the cell to lose its shape?
If I may comment.
Yes, Corey.
Sure.
The normal red cells
Mhm.
here, regularly, it's a genetic disorder, and this is determined by the genetic structure of the individual that's carrying those blood types. Now, in this case, one of the components of the red cell has been replaced by another component genetically, which has been passed from either both the parents or from one of the parents.
Right.
Now, in addition to what Mrs. Tunji-Ajayi mentioned, the regular lifespan of a red cell is 120 days.
Yes.
But in a sickled scenario, when the cell is sickled, the red cell dies prematurely.
Yes.
Hence the anemia, the weakness.
So
the
anemic
fatigue.
conditions are very prevalent.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, Gory, it's very kind of you to join us today. Now, I understand that you are actually a sufferer of this disease.
That's correct.
How long have you had this condition?
It's a genetic condition, so you're born with it.
Yes.
So, for me, to full understanding of it was when I was probably in my teens.
When you're in your teens now, just to get an understanding of what kind of situation this means for a person, what do you experience? What do you feel with this disease?
Well, for me, I would say, it's been really great, the condition. But I've had the privilege to work with the likes of Mrs. Tunji-Ajayi. I've worked and volunteered at various sickle cell clinics where I've seen some more severe cases.
Yes.
But personally now, what in the effect of the disease, as she mentioned, pains, based on the fact that the sickled red cells, they crystallize and they block the red vessels, the blood vessels, hence causing pains.
Yes.
These painful episodes are regarded as a sickle cell crisis, and there are different forms of crisis based on the the individual and how the individual expresses the pains. So, I mean, with me personally, most of my pains were in the extremities, like my arms and my legs, when I was younger. And trust me, they were good, excruciating pains.
Yes, I can imagine it must be difficult. Great. So does this potentially cause a problem for growth for a person? Can this cause like a stunted growth or something like that?
Yes, it can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does cause some stunted growth for a lot of people, and also apart from the pain, other symptoms that people that live with sickle cell anemia suffers are things like potential damage to vital organs of the body, like the kidney, the liver, the spleen, and also there's chance of stroke. With that, actually, there is a young person about 18 years old, a young man that we know that actually has sickle cell disease and suffered stroke 6 times already.
Wow,
And is
that's
fully
terrible.
blinded now.
Yeah.
So there's the chance of blindness, stroke, and I mean, the list just goes on and on, like Mr. Gori said, depending on the patient too. Some patients have the symptoms and the
Right.
complications worse than other patients. And we know a young person, a 2-year-old, that has gone through 20 blood transfusions
Yes.
at 2 years of age, and actually has his spleen removed now, and is going through liver biopsy. So that's another
Wow.
scenario.
Now I know this young lady I work with, and she has a daughter, and she's had a great deal of problem related to sickle cell anemia,
Yes.
and been in and out of hospital, lots of transfusions.
Yes.
So it must be very, very difficult, not only for the sufferer, for the parents to
But
endure that
also
type
for
of
the
condition.
parents.
That's right. Yes.
Definitely. And I mean, and it is what we say to parents and to people who are ready to go into parenthood, that be careful, because the problem won't just be for your child only. It will be for you. You will have to miss a lot of work. You will have to be with that child. You will have to, when your child is suffering and is in pain, I don't think there's any parent that is happy. So you're sad also. So all of this emotional tumult is part of the whole ball game. So then there is the chance of premature death also, because the lifespan right now is put at the best at 50.
Yes.
But many died before, because I lost my brother to this disease when he was 30 years old.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, for instance, you look at other diseases too, like diabetes. I mean,
Yes.
you have the same risks. You have the potential for heart conditions.
Yes.
You have kidney problems, and of course liver. So you have to be very careful. What type of treatments are available for this?
Well,
there's no cure yet, obviously.
There's no
Yeah,
cure.
yeah.
Sickle cell, a better word to use for it is it can be managed. One of the medication that I've used all my life is folic acid.
Folic acid.
Yeah, folic
Yes.
acid it helps in because the cells die prematurely. You need something to sort of accelerate replication and the production of more red cells.
So do you, along with the folic acid, do you use another type of not only a medication but a natural supplement, like they might have a B6-12 together or
Yes,
something?
I use multivitamins as well.
Okay.
I eat right, and also when the pains come, I have some over-the-counter pain medication that I have ready to use. But predominantly is management, understanding oneself, and I mean the inevitable scenarios where you have to go through blood transfusion, and you have to.
That must be difficult.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And I don't want to put you on the spot here, but have you had to do this many times yourself, transfusion?
No, I have not. I've never had a blood transfusion, and like I said, and that's why whenever I can, I would work with any sickle cell clinic, any organization that is reaching out to people, because I know that it is tough.
So how did you get involved? I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I mean, I've been blessed, but I've seen scenarios where people have had numerous blood transfusions, lost their spleen, tumor in the brain, things like that.
Yes.
I see.
And it's terrible.
And this is why Mr. Gori is a very good candidate in her campaign, because he believes so much in also the power of positive thinking and things like that. How you can manage yourself. Yes, this disease is debilitating, it's life-threatening and things like that. But at the same time, when you hit right and you have a positive attitude towards life, it will help you a lot also. So I mean, and this is what I mean, he's here for today also. The people that are out there that are living with this disorder should just give up on life and said, okay, you're just going to kill me anyway, so why should I do anything? I mean, you can carry on with your life, but just know your limits. Like he's always saying, people should know their limits. They should know that, okay, stress will trigger crisis. And so you don't get yourself to a level that you're very stressed.
Yes.
And things like that.
Stress management, and also the factor that if you have a balanced lifestyle, and when you're suffering from any condition, that will it will boost your immunity if you think positively.
Yes.
And that does a lot more different benefits to you.
Yes.
Yes. Now, maybe you could just explain, Lanre, to our viewers how this trait is passed on.
Sure.
And how parents basically pass it on to children. Could you just do that? We have a chart here.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we have different traits. Please explain.
There are different kind of traits. There is a normal. There are different kinds of blood cells. There's a normal red blood cells, which we'll call AA. There is when you have the traits, which can be AS or AC, and there's a sickled, which is SS or SC.
SC for sickle.
For sickle.
Okay.
Sickle hemoglobin C or sickle cell anemia. They're both sickle cell blood problems. Now, when two people get together, this is if the father and the mother, if they're both carriers, so we call them AS and AS, if they join together. Now, with every pregnancy, there's 50% chance that their child, that offspring, will come out with sickle cell anemia.
That's a very high chance.
And this is why we say to people that are traits, they have the trait, it's best for them to procreate with people here who are normal. So when you're normal and you with a trait, which is here, you will not have any child with sickle cell. This is where the chart is. This is normal. This is a trait. You will not have any child with sickle cell, but there is a 25% chance that you will have a child with a trait.
So a person would have to go for testing ahead of time.
That's why that is part of our campaign. Educational campaign.
Yeah,
People should know their genotype. Once you know your genotype, if you're carrier, if you're normal, if you have sickle hemoglobin, then you can make informed decision about who do you procreate with, right? And what we say also, when those people that have the trait, when they mix with people that have the sickle cell anemia, there is a very high chance, about 75% of the offspring coming out with sickle cell each time.
That's a high percentage.
For each pregnancy. So it's not worth it.
Wow.
It's not worth it. So everybody, especially in the culture that we call the high-risk cultures, the Indians, the Asians, the Mediterranean, Latin Americans, South Americans, Africans, Caribbeans, need to know their genotype. And because it's not routine test in Ontario, you have to request it.
Wow. And is that something that's covered by the normal medical programs?
Yes.
Yes?
It is covered, but you have to ask your family doctor for a requisition, and they'll give it to you.
I see. And what about preventing spread? I mean, is the only way to prevent spread of this
is people to make informed decision.
For the educational aspect of testing.
That's it. That's the only way to prevent the spread of sickle cell anemia. It's even though there's no cure, it's highly preventable. It's highly preventable.
So Gori,
there's a last portion to this.
Okay.
Where I don't know if it's not represented here. Sorry.
All right.
That's okay.
For someone like me who's a sickle cell patient, so I have the SS trait.
Okay.
So essentially now I'm married and I have 2 kids. I mean my daughter
Actually, he had another baby today.
Today?
Today.
Congratulations, that's terrific. Oh, congratulations, that's terrific.
So my wife is normal, AA.
Which is
Okay.
good.
So essentially for every child that we have, our child will be a carrier.
Now, how is this for a dedicated guest? He just has a child today and he's on the show. That's terrific. That's terrific.
Yes, and carriers are fine. Carriers are fine.
Exactly.
A number of athletes have been known to be carriers. They're more in the tropical countries or the tropical areas. They have malaria fever.
It's
is
very
prevalent.
yes.
Carriers are meant to have some sort of built-in resistance
Immunity resistance to
the malaria parasite.
I see.
So they're normal.
Yes, actually, and that is what we're saying. When you even have the full-blown sickle cell, we're not saying don't have kids, don't get married. What we're saying is,
It depends on the partner.
have the partner that's normal.
Yes.
And
yes.
when your partner is normal, then your children will come with the trait, but that's okay. They're normal, no health problems. They actually have more immunity, as he said, than many people doesn't even have the trait. There's some built-in immunity, but they have to be careful when they get older that they don't go with another trait.
Yes.
They go with normal.
I understand. Yes.
And that's it. And when we keep doing that.
So, Gory, how did you get involved with this organization, Seed of Life?
It was actually a referral. Someone that knew what I had done, someone that knows my condition, knew what I'd done in the past. My thesis, actually, my undergrad thesis was based on sickle cell. So she knew all of that, and she worked with Seed of Life. So she recommended me.
Terrific.
And I wrote an article. She mentioned on thinking positive, just living life within the bounds, making sure that you understand the limits, you understand your body. Because I believe, there's no crisis I've had that the body hasn't spoken to me in terms of, I feel, you'll feel it. You feel that there's some sort of pain coming. And you just need to stop it right there and manage it before it gets full blown and you get admitted or rushed to the hospital.
So is there any one thing that you have to avoid doing to prevent getting these symptoms?
Avoid, well, I wouldn't really, it's just the first thing that you need to do, not to avoid, but the first thing that you need to do is just understand your body.
Right.
There are different scenarios, different individuals with different traits or with different expression of the crisis. But in my own case, I understand the things that trigger my crisis. I don't know how to swim, not because I don't want to, but when I go in the water, I'm fighting against 3 factors. I need oxygen, so I can't hold my breath for that long. When I get in the water, I lose heat fast. Cold extremities also, and encourage.
Now that's indicative of your condition. You can't. Well, oxygen could be a problem if you're not managing it properly. Yes. Yeah.
And because the cells are sickle, they carry less oxygen than the normal cells. So
yes.
I need a lot more, and I can't afford to lose out on that. Cold extremities also trigger the cells to crystallize, and also exhaustion. So a number of those things, I figured, you know what, but I still wouldn't do that. And so the things that I know that trigger my crisis, because the crises are different in every individual, that trigger my crisis, I understand them, and I try to work around them.
So do you set aside a part of every day where you can just relax, where you can just maybe take an afternoon nap, something like that? Can you have a full day of activities, work, whatever?
If my wife was here now, she would tell you. She'd tell you I never rest. But
yeah.
I do relax within the limits. She would want me to sleep, and that's it. But relaxing
sleep
really
is
doesn't.
very important.
Yes.
Lots of sleep.
It is, and people, especially in our society here in North America, they don't get enough sleep.
And a lot of fluids.
That's right.
A
lot of fluids, beneficial cleansing, and the whole bit. Yes. So, what is Seed of Life doing to help in this regard?
Well, what we do is the educational campaign, prevention. So what we do is we go to churches where the people are, we go to community events, we go to mosques, we go to wherever people are, and we talk to them about the importance of them knowing their genotype. Parents taking their children to the doctor. Don't say my kids are fine, they don't have problems, so I'm okay.
Yes.
Because your children might actually be carriers. They might not have full-blown sickle cell, but they might be carriers.
And they may not know this until they get older.
They will know that.
Yes.
Maybe they have their home baby, because we have many people that say to us, well, I didn't even know about sickle cell until I had my child. And my child actually has sickle cell anemia. So that person is a carrier, not knowing, procreates another carrier, and then they have a child with sickle cell. So we say to parents, from now, take your children to the doctor, get them tested. Once you know their genotype, you can better educate your children to say, you're a carrier. When you get older, be careful. And so this is what we do. We go out there where they are. We organize seminars and forums and get people to come and just be part of an evening whereby there are medical doctors, there are people in the community that can better educate them, that will tell them what they need to do and how we can have this disease actually eradicated. It is possible. The last gala we had with Mr. John Tory, the Ontario PC leader, he mentioned something. He said, the thing is, with sickle cell anemia though, it could be eradicated. And that is why he definitely agree with her organization and the educational platform that we have, because this is how we could get rid of this disease, at least reduce the incidence of this disorder. If 4 children are normally born every year with this disorder, let's say, then we can say, if we can reduce that to 2 children, we've done something.
Yes. Now, how long? First of all, how long have you been involved with this organization?
We started this organization just last year, June.
Okay, so it's fairly new.
Very new organization, but we've done so much in such a little time.
And what type of research is currently being done?
On sickle cell anemia.
Yes.
Sadly, in Ontario today, with my research and the organization research, there is not a group that actually is working on the anemia. There's a group that is working on thalassemia, which is a kind of sickle cell disorder, but on the sickle cell anemia, which is the most severe form of all sickle cell disease, there's nothing being done. And part of the problem is funding. There's no funding.
Funding, yes.
Funding is part of the problem.
Which we want to bring to the attention of everybody out there, the importance of getting involved in funding and donations and in every aspect of this,
Yes.
fighting this disease, right?
This disease.
That's right, yes. So, how does a person get involved with the Seed of Life organization? Let's say somebody, a viewer out there who's very much wanting to get involved. How do they do that?
Well, they can call her organization at 416-745-4267, or they can just go to the website www.seedoflifepo.org, and they can fill up a form. We have a form there. They can fill up the form, and if they want to be a volunteer or just want to know more, the resources are there. We will give it to them. They can call us. We will be glad to answer their questions. And if they want to come out to the event on May 27th, they're very welcome. It's a free event.
Let's hold that up now. That's May 27th, the Seed of Life Philanthropic Organization.
Yes.
May 27th, and that's being held at the Revival Time
Tabernacle.
Ministries. And a variety of special guests there. And certainly a great event. And I encourage everybody to participate in this and get involved and in the fight against sickle cell disease. And there's a variety of diseases that encompass that, as Lanre was explaining. And Lagori, what are you going to do in the near future for Seed of Life, and what's your vision for the future with your participation and how things are going with you?
Well, when I met with Mrs. Tunji, and she told me the vision of Seed of Life, right off the bat, I just said, this is what I want to be a part of.
Yes.
I'm 32. With my years of living with the disease, my understanding of the disease, to the extent where I am today, I'm willing to impact that knowledge, whatever I have, the experience with management, the knowledge with the work I did back in my university days, and also educating the public as to what they need to do. Like she mentioned, we're not out to tell people not to procreate.
Right.
But just know your partner and know what you're getting into.
Prevention is education, genotype testing and prevention and all those things.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And also letting them know the impact of here's the sickle cell disease, and here are the consequences.
Right.
And people will make informed decisions.
Informed decisions.
Okay. So that number you can reach Seed of Life Organization is 416-745-4267. My guests today have been Lanre Tunji-Ajayi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And Gori Dean, a very special guest. Mr. Dean, very dedicated person for the cause of sickle cell disease, and certainly somebody we can take our hats off to for his kind work. And we look forward to speaking to you both again in the near future.
Thank you very much.
I thank you again for joining us on Randy's Wellness TV. We'll see you next time, where we explore more avenues and different programs related to natural health and wellness. I'm Randy Rowett. We'll see you next time on another edition of Randy's Wellness TV. Bye for now.